Welcome back to Kafka Internal's Crashcasts. I'm your host Sheila, and today we're continuing our journey through the Kafka ecosystem. We're in Level 2, Jedi Knight, focusing on operational proficiency. In our previous episode, we explored Kafka Connect, and now we're moving on to another crucial component, Schema Registry. Joining me as always is our Kafka expert, Victor. Victor, are you ready to dive into the world of schemas?
Absolutely, Sheila. I'm excited to discuss Schema Registry and its importance in the Kafka ecosystem. Before we start, I think our listeners should be familiar with basic Kafka concepts like topics, producers, and consumers. It's also helpful to have a general understanding of data serialization and deserialization. That's essentially converting data to a format for storage or transmission, and then back again.
Great point, Victor. For those who need a refresher, I recommend checking out our earlier episodes in the Core Concepts chapter. Now let's kick things off with a quiz question for our listeners. Here's the question. In a distributed system like Kafka, how can you ensure that producers and consumers always agree on the structure of the data being exchanged, even as that structure evolves over time?
Ooh, that's an excellent question, Sheila. It really gets to the heart of one of the biggest challenges in distributed systems. Data consistency and evolution are critical issues that many developers struggle with. I'm curious to see how our listeners approach this problem. It's not as straightforward as it might seem at first glance.
I agree, Victor. It's a complex issue that touches on several aspects of distributed system design. Now, let's start by explaining what Schema Registry is. Can you give us a basic definition?
Certainly. Schema Registry is a centralized service for managing and storing schemas used for serializing and deserializing data in Kafka. It acts as a single source of truth for the structure of your data, helping to ensure consistency between producers and consumers.
That sounds really useful. But why do we need a separate service for this? Couldn't we just include the schema with each message?
Great question, Sheila. While you could include the schema with each message, that approach has some drawbacks. It would significantly increase the message size, leading to higher storage and network costs. Schema Registry solves this by storing schemas separately and only including a small schema ID with each message. This is much more efficient.
I see. So it's like having a library catalog instead of putting the entire book description on every book cover. Can you explain how Schema Registry integrates with Kafka?
That's a perfect analogy, Sheila. Schema Registry works alongside Kafka, but is a separate service. Producers consult the Schema Registry when serializing data, and consumers use it when deserializing. The registry stores schemas and assigns them unique IDs. These IDs are then included in the Kafka messages, allowing consumers to look up the correct schema for deserialization.
That makes sense. What kind of schema formats does Schema Registry support?
Schema Registry primarily supports three formats: Avro, JSON schema, and protocol buffers, Protobuf. Avro is particularly popular due to its compact binary format and strong support for schema evolution.
Schema evolution sounds important. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Schema evolution is the process of changing a schema over time. As your data requirements change, you might need to add, remove, or modify fields. Schema Registry helps manage this process by performing compatibility checks. It ensures that new schema versions are compatible with old ones, preventing breaking changes that could disrupt your system.
That's fascinating. How exactly does Schema Registry handle these compatibility checks?
Schema Registry offers several compatibility modes. For example, in backward compatibility mode, a new schema must be able to read data written with the previous schema. Forward compatibility ensures that data written with a new schema can be read by consumers using the previous schema. There's also full compatibility, which is both backward and forward compatible.
This is getting quite complex, Victor. Can you give us a real-world example of how Schema Registry might be used?
Sure thing, Sheila. Imagine an e-commerce company that uses Kafka to stream order data. Initially, their order schema might include fields like order ID, customer.id, and total amount. Later, they decide to add a new field called shipping method. With Schema Registry, they can evolve the schema to include this new field while ensuring that older consumers can still process new messages, and newer consumers can handle old messages that don't have the shipping method field.
That's a great example, Victor. It really illustrates the practical benefits of using Schema Registry. Now, how does Schema Registry compare to other technologies in this space?
While Schema Registry is specifically designed to work with Kafka, there are other schema management systems out there. Apache Avro, for instance, has its own schema resolution rules, but it doesn't provide a centralized registry. Google's protocol buffers and Apache Thrift also offer schema definition languages, but they don't have built-in versioning or compatibility checking like Schema Registry does.
Interesting comparison, Victor. Are there any common pitfalls or best practices our listeners should be aware of when using Schema Registry?
Absolutely, Sheila. One common pitfall is not planning for schema evolution from the start. It's crucial to design your initial schemas with future changes in mind. Also, be cautious about breaking changes. Always test new schemas thoroughly before deploying them. As for best practices, I'd recommend using a schema naming convention, keeping schemas as simple as possible, and regularly reviewing and cleaning up unused schemas to prevent clutter.
Those are great tips, Victor. Before we wrap up, do you have any fun facts or interesting anecdotes about Schema Registry?
Here's a fun fact. The idea of a schema registry isn't unique to Kafka. Similar concepts have been used in other distributed systems and databases for years. But Confluent, the company behind Kafka, popularized the term schema registry and made it a cornerstone of data governance in streaming architectures.
That is interesting. Now, let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The answer is by using a schema registry. It provides a centralized place to manage and evolve schemas, ensuring that producers and consumers always agree on the data structure, even as it changes over time.
Excellent summary, Sheila. Schema Registry really is a powerful tool for maintaining data consistency in Kafka systems.
Indeed it is, Victor. To sum up today's episode, we learned that Schema Registry is a centralized service for managing schemas in Kafka. It supports schema evolution, performs compatibility checks, and integrates seamlessly with Kafka producers and consumers. By using Schema Registry, you can ensure data consistency, reduce message sizes, and make your Kafka system more robust and flexible.
Great summary, Sheila. I think our listeners now have a solid understanding of Schema Registry and its importance in the Kafka ecosystem.
Thank you, Victor. In our next episode, we'll be diving into the world of Kafka Streams, another powerful component of the Kafka ecosystem. Don't miss it. And to our listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Kafka Internal's Crashcasts and leave us a rating. Your support helps us continue providing in-depth Kafka knowledge. Until next time, keep streaming.